Hi everyone, ready for a deep dive today? We're going to take a closer look at Royal Enfield,
Oh, yeah.
an Indian motorcycle manufacturer with a seriously fascinating story.
Yeah, they're way more than just bikes, you know?
Exactly. We've got company histories, articles, even a snippet from a motorcycle podcast where a real Enfield enthusiast talks about his experience.
Sounds like a good mix.
So we're going beyond just the basics here. We really want to dig into what makes this brand tick and why it resonates with people all over the world.
It's a comeback story for sure.
Okay, so let's rewind way back to the beginning. 1901, Royal Enfield starts in the UK.
UK, I didn't know that.
Yep, and right away they get this reputation for tough, rugged bikes. Bikes that could handle pretty much anything.
So like early rallies and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. That kind of adventurous DNA is still with them today. But their real Indian story starts in the 1950s when they start supplying motorcycles to the Indian Army.
That's a pretty big deal.
Huge. How do you think that shapes their image, providing bikes to the Army?
Well, I mean, think about it. These bikes are out there conquering the Himalayas, deserts, tough terrain.
Reproving themselves?
Yeah, it cemented this image of Royal Enfield as the ultimate adventure bike built for reliability. And it created this super loyal following. Riders who wanted a bike that could last.
And then things get a little rough in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, the motorcycle market changed a lot.
More competition.
Definitely. And Royal Enfield, they just weren't keeping up. Their designs felt dated, the technology was behind.
So what changed?
In 1994, Eicher Motors takes over, and they have a completely different approach.
So this is the turnaround moment.
Yeah, instead of trying to compete head-to-head with modern sport bikes,
Yeah.
they decided to focus on what made Royal Enfield unique.
Yeah.
Classic styling, simple mechanics, that reputation for being super durable.
Play to your strengths.
Exactly. They started making modern versions of their classic models, appealing to both nostalgia and this new generation of riders who are looking for something different, something with a little more soul.
Okay, so let's talk models. We've got the Bullet, the Classic Series. What's the lineup like?
Well, the Bullet is like their foundation.
Yeah.
Single-cylinder engine, that iconic thump. It's about as simple and reliable as you can get.
The OG.
Right. Then you've got the Classic Series, which has a bit more of that retro style, a wider range of engine options, but still fundamentally it's all about that simple, almost timeless riding experience.
And they have moved with the times, right? Like the Meteor 350, that felt like a pretty big jump.
Totally. They launched that in 2020, and they kept the classic look, but added fuel injection, a smoother engine, even a digital analog instrument cluster.
Appealing to a younger crowd.
For sure, but without alienating the die-hard fans.
Nice. And in 2023, they released the Hunter 350.
Oh yeah, that one's specifically aimed at city riders.
More nimble and easier to handle in traffic.
Exactly. But through all these changes, they've stayed true to that core Royal Enfield character.
I think we got to talk about the 650cc twins, the Interceptor and the Continental GT. Those felt like real game changers when they came out.
Oh yeah, huge. Those launched in 2018,
Yeah.
and they brought modern performance to that classic Royal Enfield package.
Especially with those parallel twin engines.
Right, and they were priced so that a global audience could afford them. Suddenly you had riders in Europe, North America, all over, wanting a piece of that retro cool.
So it's not just an Indian brand anymore.
Nope, they've gone global in a big way. Their dealerships are all over the place, Europe, North America, Southeast Asia, and they're still expanding.
What do you think is driving that global success?
Well, there's this worldwide trend of retro motorcycles right now.
Yeah, people are loving that vintage style.
But Royal Enfield is also smart about targeting specific market segments.
Like the cruiser segment in North America.
Exactly. That segment's huge over there. And the 650 twins, they just fit right in. They've got the style, and they're affordable.
So they're really strategic about how they're approaching these different markets.
Yeah, they're not just riding the wave. They're figuring out how to position themselves within it.
All of this success, and they're already looking ahead to the electric future, which honestly is still pretty new in India.
Definitely. But they've got the Royal Enfield Electro concept,
Mhm.
which gives us some clues about where they might be headed.
So we've got this brand with a history built on rugged simplicity. But now they're stepping into this cutting-edge electric tech world.
It's an interesting combo.
What do you think they're aiming for?
Well, their brand is all about a feeling right. Freedom, adventure, a connection to the machine itself. So what if they can translate that to electric?
Classic looks, but with that electric power.
Instant torque, silent running, it could be a whole new kind of experience.
Almost like they're trying to attract the eco-conscious rider who still wants that Royal Enfield soul.
Yeah, and it all comes back to how they've been able to evolve without losing their core identity.
And there's one more piece of the puzzle we can't forget: community.
Yes, of course. The Royal Enfield community.
They're not just selling bikes, they're selling a lifestyle.
Exactly. They built this incredibly passionate community around the brand.
Hmm.
Clubs, rallies, long-distance rides. It's all about shared experiences, this feeling of belonging to something bigger. And it's genuine, It's not just some marketing ploy. This is real connection. You can't fake that. You got to build it carefully. And Royal Enfield, they've done a great job.
They really have. So we've got this amazing heritage, growing global presence. Now they're venturing into electric motorcycles. Pretty exciting time to be a Royal Enfield fan. But the motorcycle industry as a whole is facing some big challenges, right?
Oh, absolutely. Electric motorcycles are shaking things up, and rider preferences, they're evolving.
How so?
Well, there's this growing demand for sustainability, for connectivity, even a blurring of lines between motorcycles and other personal transportation options.
So where does that leave a brand like Royal Enfield, so steeped in tradition? Can their strategy adapt to all of this?
That's the big question, isn't it? They've got this unique combination of classic appeal and modern tech, and it's clearly working. Plus, they have that strong community, which is huge these days.
But some people might say that sticking with the retro style could actually hurt them in the electric market. What do you think?
It's a good point. The electric motorcycle crowd is a little different. They tend to go for those sleek, futuristic designs.
So how do you bridge that gap?
Royal Enfield has to find a way to translate their classic design language into something that feels familiar but also forward-thinking.
So you can't alienate your loyal customers who love that old school charm, but you also have to attract new riders.
It's a tricky balance for sure. And then you've got the competition to think about.
It's getting crowded out there.
Oh yeah, established players and all these ambitious startups all fighting for market share. Royal Enfield's gonna have to step up their game in terms of performance, technology, and price.
On the topic of global expansion, have they run into any obstacles trying to adapt to different cultures and markets?
It hasn't always been easy. They've had to learn how to adjust what they offer to suit local preferences and regulations.
I don't know, man.
Like some models that are popular in India might not meet emission standards in Europe, for example. And they've had to tweak their marketing to make sure it resonates with different cultures.
So it's more than just building bikes. You got to understand the nuances of each market, show respect for local customs, and really work on building trust with new audiences.
Absolutely. They've had some wins and some learning experiences along the way. But overall, I think they've shown a willingness to adapt and a real commitment to understanding riders around the world.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about the challenges. What about the opportunities? Where do you see the most potential for Royal Enfield to grow?
Asia. The motorcycle market in Asia is exploding right now. The middle class is growing rapidly, and they're hungry for brands that represent aspiration.
Makes sense.
Royal Enfield is perfectly positioned to tap into that demand, especially in countries like Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam.
They've already got a foothold in those markets, don't they?
They do, but there's still so much room for growth. And their focus on affordability gives them a real edge over the competition.
What about electric motorcycles? Is that a big opportunity for them too?
Definitely. Governments all over the world are pushing for cleaner transportation, so the demand for electric motorcycles is going to keep going up.
And if Royal Enfield can get a piece of that market...
It's a huge potential win. Plus, they've got that community factor going for them.
Right. Those passionate Royal Enfield riders, they could become the biggest advocates for the brand's electric offerings.
Think about it. Those Royal Enfield rallies, but with silent electric bikes cruising through these incredible landscapes.
Yeah, I can see it.
It's a pretty powerful image.
So let's look ahead. 10 years from now, where do you see Royal Enfield?
I think they have a real shot at becoming a true global motorcycle icon. A brand that represents adventure, community, and a commitment to sustainability. They'll face some obstacles along the way, of course.
There's always bumps in the road.
But they've got the history, the vision, the passion to make it happen.
I love that optimism. It's contagious. But I keep coming back to this tension between heritage and innovation. How important is it for them to find that balance to be successful?
It's absolutely crucial. In a world that's obsessed with the latest and greatest, there's this growing appreciation for brands that have a story, a history.
They have to stand for something.
Exactly. And Royal Enfield embodies that beautifully. But they can't just rely on nostalgia. They have to keep innovating, pushing the limits while staying true to who they are at their core.
It's like walking a tightrope.
One wrong step and...
It could all fall apart. But Royal Enfield, they've shown us they're not afraid to take risks.
Yeah, they've reinvented themselves before. And I'm confident they can do it again.
That's a great point. The history is full of resilience and adaptation. They've come through tough times and they've come out stronger every single time.
And that gives me faith in their ability to handle the challenges and capitalize on the opportunities that are coming their way.
We've talked a lot about the big picture stuff, market trends, going global, the whole electric revolution. But let's bring it back down to earth for a second.
Right.
What does the rise of Royal Enfield mean for the everyday rider?
I think it shows a desire for authenticity, for something real and tangible in a world that's becoming increasingly digital and disposable.
So it's more than just transportation.
Yeah, it's about finding experiences that connect with you on a deeper level.
It's about that thrill of the open road, the friendships you build with other riders, that pride you feel when you've mastered your machine. It's about feeling alive, connected to something bigger than yourself.
You're making me want to hop on my bike right now.
Me too. There's something about the simplicity of a motorcycle that lets you escape the noise and distractions of modern life.
And Royal Enfield, with its focus on classic design and that pure riding experience, they tap into that beautifully.
But they're also looking ahead, with their electric experiments and that commitment to sustainability.
It's an interesting paradox, isn't it?
It really is. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. Maybe Royal Enfield's success is really just a reflection of what we all want deep down. That balance between heritage and innovation, between the things we know and the things we're still figuring out.
Yeah, and it makes you think, doesn't it? As a motorcycle enthusiast, where do you fit into all of this? Are you all about that classic engine roar, or does the silent power of an electric motor intrigue you more?
Are you drawn to tradition, or are you someone who's always looking for that cutting edge?
Or maybe you're like Royal Enfield, embracing both. You realize that the future of motorcycling isn't about picking a side, it's about finding that sweet spot where the old and the new can exist together.
It's been quite a ride with this deep dive. We've gone from those back roads in India all the way to the global stage, from that single-cylinder thump to the quiet hum of electric motors.
We've seen how a brand can stay true to its roots while still pushing boundaries.
It's a story about more than just motorcycles, really. It's about resilience, reinvention, and the power of community.
And most importantly, I think we started a conversation, a journey that goes beyond this episode.
So as you fire up your engine and hit the open road, remember this. The future of motorcycling, it's in your hands.
Embrace the heritage, explore the innovation, and keep riding.